I work in Ola as an SD1 and I have experience of only 6 months right now. Is there any problem? You can't hear me? I can't speak more loud than this. Okay, that's okay. I did not took the breakfast. So the topic is performance of IO request on LAMP and mean stack. It's around 150 people are here, so that's a good number to satisfy Poisson distribution. That means there will be a less number of people who are very experienced. There will be less number of people who are very new to the programming and new to this industry like me, and there will be a large number of people who are in between 2 years, 3 years of experience. So this is a small talk and it will be a theoretical type. Okay. So overview is, if you want to measure the performance of anything, any application between two stacks or between two, you want to compare between two things, then you have to simulate it in a real world. Then it's that in that case only it will be useful for you. The results will be useful for you. So for that I used a LAMP and mean stack. You all know the LAMP, Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, and mean is the new one. Mongo, Apache, Node.js, and AngularJS. So right now I chose an MMS application which is MOOC management system like Coursera, the MOOCit from IIT Kanpur. These are the MMS applications. So to perform this experiment, to compare two stacks, you need to choose an application from a large domain. So what I want to right now do is to compare the IO request performance in both the stacks. So from that domain, choose the subset of the applications that are more IO intensive. After choosing that subset of the application, choose what are the resources you available to simulate it into the real world. If you make a canonical model of that, you should have that information associated with you. You should be able to collect all the information, configuration, log files and everything to simulate a model into a real world scenario so that you can get the results what you want. Okay, so I took from that domain, I had all the configuration, log files and everything for the MMS application. So I chose an MMS application from that domain. Now what we are doing right now here, we are performing an experiment. Perform an experiment to measure the IO request performance on both the stacks. So there are two models which are canonical models representing an application. Make request in a large amount on that. Have observers to observe what is the pattern you are getting. So what metrics I chose to measure are throughput, response time and CPU. These are the three things which defines everything for an application, how it's performing. So if you see what is the CPU cycles on the operations, if you perform an L1 cache operations, 3 of the CPU cycles near about are used. For L2, 14, RAM 250, and if you see the disk and network, this is a highly CPU cycle consuming IO operations. So if you see a typical request life cycle of an IO, you see a request is routed to the correct code base, correct component. After that, a database query is made. So this is the timeline, okay? And this is the operations for that timeline. So request makes a last timeout for the database query, then process the result, which is very less, write logs to disk and respond it whether it is in JSON or HTML. Right now, these things are done asynchronously to save the time. Okay. So what we see here is a lot of time is wasted or a lot of time is spent in waiting for IO to get completed. I hope there are some people, I think, who haven't touched Node.js yet. Are there anyone or everyone has touched the Node.js or know everything, the working of Node.js? How does it work? You don't know. Okay, so I will cover a small portion of that also so that you can understand the results. So a hybrid HTTP server like Apache, what it does is it spawns the threads for every request. Whatever the request it gets, it's get a thread from its pool, perform the operation on that thread and release it into the pool. So there are processes and processes has threads. These threads perform the operation. What happens when the number of threads are increased? The lot of time the server is not doing anything, the database is doing, and the server is waiting for those threads to complete its IO operation. So right now, if you see this scenario, this frame, what an web server is doing right now? Nothing, just waiting. Okay. So Node.js. So Node.js is an event-driven non-blocking IO model, and it uses libuv library to make the asynchronously thread pool. It has a libuv library, provides you thread pool to perform non-blocking IO operations at the OS level. So this is for those who don't know how Node.js work. So Node.js has an event loop. Whatever you write in a code block, if you have written some code or if you just go to the nodejs.org website, you will get a code, small code, which has a callback. It's written callback. So that callback code, whatever you write in the callback is executed by the event loop. Okay. So when Node.js is single threaded, when it starts an event loop. And there are event queues and thread pools. These thread pools are provided by the libuv library. So when you start a web server, the event loop starts. It waits for an IO request. Whenever an IO request it gets, or whenever request it gets, then event loop starts to execute it. If there is any code which has to be executed asynchronously, it sends it to the OS level libuv library. It performs asynchronous operation, and that event is again written into the event queue. Whenever the event is completed, callback is called, those operations are performed. Till those operations are performed, event loop is blocked. So what this means? It's a single thread server. For one request, whenever the callback is called and it starts executing that callback, the event loop is blocked for that. It's not serving other requests. So what this means? You can't write CPU intensive jobs here. In that case, for one request, it will get blocked for the CPU intensive job. So one thing you get to know is never write anything highly CPU intensive like processing an image or processing a large data set right now directly into the callback. If you want to make this type of processing, use the libraries that are available with the Node.js to make it asynchronously. The next thing is cluster in Node.js. You can make cluster if you have 4 CPU cores. Then for each CPU core, means if it is single threaded, only one CPU can execute the job. Okay, so you are wasting 3 cores also if you have 4 CPU cores. So create 4 processes in a cluster for the Node.js. So the rest, the application I chose, MMS, Canonical MMS, is what I made. The model is RESTful. So I did not make the UI for it, only the REST application endpoints for that. The simple REST, and the architecture that I chose is simple. The front-end application will be there. It was one. Then you will be provided with the endpoints The middleware will cache the cookies and all these things, parse the cookie. Dispatcher will dispatch the request into the correct component, and the correct component will then satisfy the request and will make the IO call to the database. So these were the endpoints. Now, the request composition analysis. You get an application, you know everything about that application. So that means if that application is in live, like you are right now hosting a MMS application, Coursera, you get to know the logs of the requests that are coming. So collect all the logs, make the composition analysis of the request, which request is going to which component, and get to know what is the composition so that you can simulate into real world scenario. So I got the AG-MOOC powered by MOOCkit. This is the application, MMS application, the log files. I collected the log file, used the shell script, and get the composition of which requests are going into which components. So this is the composition percentage. See here. So the course, which is the basic page of an MMS application, what are the listing of the course, is having 34% of the request. And the least one is announcement, resources, submissions. Whenever you submit a course, then the submission is called. Comments, forums, and the lectures. Lectures are 27%, means after course, user used to go into the lectures page and see the lectures. So this is the composition. So what I did, I used this composition to create a scenario which is near to from the application I got this composition. So I created the application when the requests were fired to the canonical model. That request had this percentage of request to the respective components. So the performance, scalability, and stability. So we are going to see what is the performance, scalability, and stability of these applications under this scenario of LAMP and mean. So metrics I collected: throughput, average response time, and resource usage, which is CPU utilization. You can collect a memory usage also, which will be useful. So I used a copper. Yeah.
Your response are you calculating from the end user point of view?
Yeah. End user means?
Like if you have a web server and a client.
So from the client point of view. So whoever fires the request at the end point, the time at which he gets the response. So it includes the think time also. Think time to compute that request, to complete that request at the server end. So this will be a leg from you fired a request. This is the SUT, server under test, system under test. So this time plus the think time plus the response time.
But then here mostly interested only in the IO side of things, right? The back end.
Yeah. So I made this nearly equal to 0. How is
function of the network?
Ah. So you'll get to see when I will explain the test. So I used the JMeter, which is widely used in the industry. Use it into a distributed manner, which is master slave, and you write the how JMeter work. I'm just giving a small introduction to it. You write a script. What are the requests you want to send to which endpoint? This script is sent to the slaves. These slaves simultaneously, when this master triggers, this slave simultaneously sends the request. Why JMeter do this in a distributed way? Means your client should not get bottlenecked. Means there are a limited number of file descriptors available in the Linux system or any system OS. You can't create more than that number of requests at a time, open request at the time. So used many machines which are in the slave mode, and these were kept in the T2 medium on the AWS. So whole setup was on one subnet on AWS with the these on the T2 medium. T2 medium instance type in the AWS. So AWS provide you the instances of different types with the different CPU cores, different power, different memory. So you can choose from those whichever you want to use, which is perfectly usable in your application. So here I won't be computing too much. I will just be using some RAM and won't be computing too much. So I don't need too many CPU cores. So I chose T2 medium here. If you choose compute instances from the T2 which are C4X large and all those things, that provide the highly compute intensive operations to be performed very fast. So the thread executions. So how test? This will be useful for you if you want to know what is the web server behavior. So if you simulate a web server behavior, you should know how threads should perform and how threads work in the JMeter or any application or tool which performs the test. So it sends a request, it waits till the request don't come, and whenever you get the response, whenever this tool gets the response, it fires again another thread, another request. So this is a thread, one thread fires a request, wait for the response, it gets the response, it fires another request. So this is the pattern that it follows. It don't do like a thread continuously firing requests. In that case, the server will get blocked. I will show you the last batch. So these are the instances configuration: T2 medium, 2 core CPU and 4 GB RAM. So I carefully chose 2 machines which are having same core and 2 machines which are having different cores but same RAM. So increasing the RAM, keeping core constants, and increasing the core, keeping RAM constant, so that you can see in scenarios what happens at changing the configuration. So this is the important Little's theorem. So Little's theorem will be useful anywhere if you work with a web server. If you work with a web server, anytime it crashes, anytime anything happens with the web server, if you have one of the parameter, you can estimate what was the scenario at that time when the server failed, or what was the behavior at that time. So Little's theorem applies everywhere where there is a queue-based applications. So Little's law applies any queuing system that reaches a steady state. Whether it is a queue in the ATM or in the bank, you can apply this law. So total number of users equal to throughput multiplied by response time. Okay. For the test, to perform a test, I kept total number of users equal to constant. So constant equal to throughput multiplied by response time. That means now keeping the number of users constant, throughput and response time are inversely proportional to each other. Okay. So how an ideal web server throughput is like this. So if you make a web server live and the request starts to come on that server, till it is less than a saturation point, means a request are very less, a web server can handle it easily. its CPU is not reaching 100% and resource utilization has not reached its full limit, the throughput will keep on increasing at a 45 degree. So whatever you give, it's a response. Whatever you give, it responds. It doesn't make it any into the queue. But when some of the resource gets saturated, then at that time throughput will become constant. So at this point, how CPU should look like? CPU will also increase with the number of requests. If you are increasing the request, CPU is also increasing. What happens to the average response time?
Starts increasing.
It will be steady.
After the saturation.
After the saturation point, it will start increasing. So, till the CPU or any of the resource, not the simple CPU, if the memory get 100% utilized or any of the resource, file descriptor, anything get fully utilized, at that time a server will get to reach to the saturation point.
I have a quick question. In this figure, we are talking about CPU and concurrent requests. What about the memory?
So, memory right now, I was not interested into that because I knew that it won't get filled.
But one time we can only study one variable, but what I'm saying is, how does memory affect?
Memory will also increase. Every resource will increase with the number of requests. If you give more load to the server, the more resource it will use to give you the output. Till the resource is not completed, you get the output equal to what was the input. And when the CPU reaches its maximum, average response time will start and the throughput will become constant. Okay? Why? You got the mathematics behind that? This person sitting to complete the form, there is a queue of people. If he is saturated, he can't sign more than that. And if you are giving more people to him, this person will complete this many queue length and get out from that queue length. This is the time he waits. So if he gets saturated, this queue will start increasing. So in the experiment, I kept this number of requests. I call this number of requests as number of users. And this number of users equal to constant. So whenever number of users equal to constant, what I see, this is the throughput value. Let's call it TH1. And the response time at that time was constant till this point, then it increased. So the response time value is R1. So TH1 multiplied by TR1 is equal to the number of users for that test case. So whenever you perform a test, make sure you get this value again back. So this says that yes, the test was successful, the server performed well, means there was no lag or anything misinterpretation in the data. So what was the LAMP performance? This was the LAMP performance. And you will see later what was the difference between LAMP and mean. It's a drastic difference. So this is the throughput, request per second. For the 50 users, 50 threads, the throughput was nearly 620 for the T2 medium, which has 2 core 4 GB. If you see the M4X large, which has 4 core 16 GB, the 4 core 16 GB, clearly you will get more throughput. So this is the what you got.
What is the unit of the request per second?
Request per second, throughput request per second. So I write here LAMP at 50. So let us choose a bigger number, 200. 200 throughput value, and this response will write later. I am writing for T2 medium, okay, 700. So if you see here, throughput was constant. What you expect response time graph should be? Yes. If your throughput is constant, your response time should increase. So the response time is increasing graph. Okay. So clearly, high capability machine will give you less response time instead of low capability machine. And at 200, the response time was around 280. 280 time in milliseconds. Okay. So multiply this, you will get the 200 number, near about 200 number. So if you see, when the request throughput was somewhat increasing, at that time CPU will also be increasing, and when it become constant, CPU will become constant, means a resource has been utilized fully. So you can see here this. The CPU was also increasing at that time. When it exhausted, become constant, and throughput also became constant. Whenever a request comes, it sends into the asynchronous call, it serves another request. Till that time, it is not waiting for the request to get completed to serve another request. So this is why there is a difference. When you see, slowly it has tended to the saturation state. Whereas the M4X large 4-core 16 GB has not yet reached the saturation state at 700 user threads also. So for this 700 user threads, I had to create 16 T2 medium to simulate these users. 16 slaves were running to fire that many requests to handle a one server, which was on only T2 medium. No, that was on M4X large. With the four cores, means 4 threads were running at that time. So what should be the behavior of CPU and response time? So will be constant, then increase, and CPU should increase and then become 100%. So this is the average response time. It was constant for all. Why? Why different machine is not giving me the different response time here?
Because none of them have hit this value.
Because the Mongo right now, the backend has some capability to solve any request into a minimum time. So it has some minimum time to serve any of the requests. So this is that limitation. It can't go below that. Though your machine can be more capable to perform the operation, but your backend is not supporting it. So it has some minimum time to give to a request. So because of that, you are getting this same average response time initially, then suddenly T2 medium deviates. And with this deviation, you can see saturation in throughput. But look at the values now. So you are at 200, average response time is 120, 130, 140. So response time at 200, 135 for T2 medium. See the throughput at 200, around 1500. Look at the numbers. This will be useful for you whenever you will think of an application, whenever you will think that which language to choose or which technology to choose for this scenario. So whenever, like booking, if you are making a booking API, it doesn't have to do any computation. it has to do only IO operation. So at that time Node.js will be useful. Or if you only want to serve static files, like why React.js uses Node.js? React.js uses Node.js, why? Because it has to do some static files transfer, render and send the static files. So at that time Node.js is useful. So the CPU utilization, it becomes 100%. So there is a smooth transition here. You can see the scalability, how much scalable it is in comparison to a LAMP, which breaks at 250. After this, if I increase the number of users, the server stops to respond. This goes into the buckle point. This is the buckle point. So the buckle point is a point where it can't handle anything. It has exhausted all the resources. The memory is also exhausted. Nothing it has to complete a request. So at that time suddenly throughput will drop. Okay, it is more doing context switching, it is more doing resource handling than doing the useful work. The useful work is called throughput, and whatever left is the context switching and the waste of the time doing the resource management and all these things. So at this point CPU will start making too many context switching between the threads, the throughput will get dropped, and what will happen to the response time? What will happen to the response time? It will shoot. It will shoot like this, exponentially, more than exponentially. Okay, thank you. So you got to know how a web server behaves in a stressful condition. What are the ways to simulate an application into a real world scenario, and get to know what are the metrics, how these metrics should perform, and remember the Little's law whenever you perform a test, and what technology to choose. Just perform a test, a small test, a canonical test, which having resources from other applications, similar application, and perform the test and get the result and decide which to choose at which scenario. Thank you.